Same man who had closed Francis's coffin less than 2 weeks earlier, who stepped forward and said the two words that have opened every conclave. On the 25th of April, 2025, it was Ravelli who announced the coffin would close that evening at 8 o'clock, and it was Ravelli, inside St. Peter's Basilica, who laid a white silk veil over Francis's face and shut the lid himself. The next day, the funeral mass filled St. Peter's Square with something like 200,000 people, led by the Dean of the College of Cardinals, because there was no pope left to lead it. Francis was buried across the city at Santa Maria Maggiore, the first pope in more than 100 years laid to rest outside the Vatican walls. In the middle of all that grief, Ravelli's own office did not go dark. Its responsibilities explicitly continue through the empty stretch between one pontificate and the next, the sede vacante, the vacant chair. Most of the Vatican's major appointments freeze the instant a pope dies. His office is one of the few built to keep functioning through the very moment when there is no pope left to serve. Which brings us back to where we started. On the 7th of May, 2025, 133 cardinal electors, processed into the Sistine Chapel, took their oaths and sat down beneath Michelangelo's Last Judgment to choose a new pope. Once the oath was finished, it was Ravelli, the same man who had closed Francis's coffin less than 2 weeks earlier, who stepped forward and said the two words that have opened every conclave for centuries: extra omnes, everyone out. Every camera, every unauthorized cleric, every last person without a vote left the room. Ravelli left too. The heavy doors shut just before 5:45 in the evening, and for the next day and a half, 133 men were entirely alone with their ballots. On the fourth vote, on the 8th of May, they had a decision. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost had been elected the 267th Pope. He chose the name Leo XIV, the first American ever to hold the office. Under the law governing a conclave, it is the master of ceremonies who must formally certify the moment it happens. Acting as a notary, with two ceremony assistants standing as witnesses, Ravelli drafted the official document confirming that Prevost had accepted the papacy and chosen his new name. Only after that was signed did the new pope walk out of the Sistine Chapel toward a small side room the Vatican calls, quite literally, the Room of Tears, named for what happens to almost every man who's ever stood inside it. There, Leo took off the cardinal's robes he'd worn into the conclave and put on the white papal cassock for the first time. Ravelli went in with him, and Ravelli closed the door. Before a single camera in St. Peter's Square had seen Leo XIV's face as pope, Diego Ravelli already had.